Hello everyone, we are live and welcome to Thursday Live Lesson with me, Aldrine Guerrero, and joined by Mr. Aaron the Voice Nakamura. Say what's up, Aaron?
What's up?
And Kahai the Legend Ferguson. Say what's up, Kahai?
What's up?
This is Thursday Live Lesson. It is a live lesson where you guys come in, you guys can ask anything, we'll answer them as best as we can. Collectively, these three minds will come together with the best answer for you. And if you are listening to this via our iTunes podcast, what's up? And for those of you folks who are part of UU Plus who are watching the video version of this, what's up? So, thank you everyone for tuning in. We are live. There's a chat, so make sure you take advantage of that chat. Ask us the questions that you want, because it is live. You know, you can ask us the questions. We'll see it. We'll try to answer as best as we can. We also get questions throughout the week, so let's get started, Kahai.
Last week we had the video
Oh, right,
from
right.
Alan,
Yeah.
and I forgot to tell you about that, so we didn't get to watch it.
Okay, so I got to watch it this morning actually. Last week I didn't get to watch it, so I couldn't give any feedback. But I finally got to watch it today, and Alan, I gotta say that you've come a long way. You've done a lot of great stuff. I love the that it wasn't Over the Rainbow. It was What a Wonderful World. What a Wonderful World that you did. And the thing is, we've talked about that here on Thursday Live Lesson. We talked about when Jake was like saying, "Oh, I use a D." Whatever, like flat 7 or whatever it was that that chord. You took that advice, and you were doing some really good voicings in your arrangement. As far as Ulu Palakua goes, great job as well. You told us that you're not really much of a singer, but I heard you there, and you got that confidence going on. It's a little shaky on the confidence, but you did it, congratulations. So good job. As far as feedback goes, if I have to criticize, if I have to say stuff, I would say that dynamics is going to be the next thing that you should work on. For those of you folks who have not seen the video or anything like that, and if you're a UU Plus member, you can check it out over at the UU Plus forums. Alan posted it on the UU Plus forum. So, as far as dynamics goes, you have those roles, that you were doing with with that song Ulu Palakua. He was doing some roles. So okay, so you're doing those roles. Now make sure that role is exaggerated enough so that the audience knows that you're doing the role. If you're doing the role too quick, it just sounds like a regular strum that was maybe just a hair longer. So you want to really exaggerate that. And as far as dynamics goes, when you do exaggerate that, make sure that there's differences in the dynamics so that people will know that you're trying to accent some beats over others. So instead of going that's kind of what it sounded like. It's just you had rolls in there, but I just wasn't I wasn't really hearing it all too much. I want you to accent those roles. I want you to have a difference in dynamics, with those. So make sure that those are either, louder or the notes before it comes softer, and then you get to, a medium sound with that. Because in Hawaiian music, if you listen carefully to the guitar, to the ukulele, whenever they're doing rolls, they make sure that they accent all of that, and they make sure that they get all those rolls heard, because it's quite important. Yeah, just like when we talked about the ipu going. So that quick finger tap, that I'm doing. Oh, well. So that's kind of what that roll is. So you. If you do it too fast, then you don't quite get the that effect that you want. And if you don't accent it, if you don't make a difference in dynamics, it's not really gonna stand out. Now these are kind of nitpicky things. You did a great job, but if I had to change stuff, that's definitely one of those things that I would change. It did seem like you were a little bit nervous, so tempo was kind of here and there. For the most part, it's okay. It works in like an open mic kind of setting. But if somebody's gonna record it and you're gonna watch it back, then that's when people really kind of notice. In that live setting, you watch it it happens, it happens so fast, and nobody really notices too much changes in the tempo, because it wasn't drastic changes. It was just kind of speed up here or there, slow down here and there. But if it's gonna be recording and watch it back, that's kind of when you notice these sudden changes. So I would kind of think about the tempo. Another thing too is and you mentioned this last week, but yeah, there's just the look on his face. He said he looked kind of grumpy like all the time. He did kind of look grumpy. It looked like he didn't really want to be there, or he just looked super nervous. He's like,
it's probably that.
Yeah, he's like, I hope I get everything correct, and I get that, and it's stressful, and it shows on your face. But I think if you just kind of clear your mind, get on stage, and just and we talked about last week how just kind of relax. The audience wants you to do good and stuff. And the better mood that you are, the more relaxed you get, the better you play. Actually, if you could be like a professional musician who's been playing for decades, but as soon as you step up on that stage, if that person has never stepped up on stage before and is super nervous, that person's gonna speed up or gonna stiffen up and stuff. So it's good to just kind of relax. That's another thing too. But other than that, everything went really well. Yeah.
I think there's like a place for like the grumpy face. Like it's like, I think it's also
what place is that?
Well, like I think people also they call it the guitar face, right? When people are like shredding and then they're like scrunching up their face and stuff.
Oh.
And so it's like, yeah, you can get into it and like show like that you're trying to like really milk out all those notes.
Well, there's a difference between like the guitar face and then like the like really like, just kind of grumpy
like
looking.
if you're playing for like that song, right? Then it's like you really shouldn't have to feel like I'm struggling to play this song. It should be like, oh, I'm taking it easy, I'm relaxing. But yeah, if you are like playing like a harder song or something and your face naturally like kind of scrunches up and like it's like, oh, I'm really trying to get the notes out.
Like John
I think
Mayer.
that's okay.
So Alan is asking, what do you think of the solo that he did for Ulu?
Oh yeah, it was nice. It was it was simple enough. He did like just some like A string stuff, and then he went to the chords. That was really nice. I forgot to comment on that. It was good. It was simple enough, very effective. It it filled in the amount of time that you gave yourself that solo for. So good job on that. It was clean. I liked it.
Devin asked, "Are you going to banish him to the metronome?" It's like,
it's well, you can practice with metronome at home and you'll be fine. Like that's one thing, but I think this is different. Like when you step up on stage and you rush and you slow down, that's like a different kind of, you can practice with metronome all day, but as soon as you face that audience and you get nervous, all that goes out the window. So I could tell Alan to, practice with a metronome, like, until like his face gets blue with anger, but yeah.
There's a music teacher like online and he has people send him in videos and then he watches it and then responds to it. And he's a bass player.
Okay.
But he had like somebody send in a video and it was like somebody who said like, oh, I only been playing bass for like a couple years and here I'm trying to play like a really complicated song. And the teacher said like, oh, I'm glad you're trying to do that, but like slow it down and go like play note by note. And it's not because like a lot of people think like you play note by note so you can learn the notes, right? Like you're learning the notes at a slower tempo. Yeah. And that's true for when you start with that song. But if you know the notes, like what you're trying to do with that is you're trying to make each note as expressive as it needs to be, right? Like find the dynamics and find the expression for each single note and really try to fine tune that in. So I don't know if Alan wants to like slow it down, like try and slow playing it, but maybe he has to like, or maybe he wants to think about that, like think about his intention for each note.
Yeah, that's true. That's that makes a big difference. Like making sure each note, gets heard. He did pretty good. Like with the solos, like I was saying, it's he had all the notes that needed to be there. He didn't add too much. It wasn't too little. It was just enough. Enough of a solo, something that would be considered a solo in there. I like it. He's, sometimes people overcomplicate solos. I know I do. But when sometimes it's the simplest things can make the biggest difference, and especially in a song Ulu Palakua. A lot of Hawaiian songs, you don't really need to shred all too much. It's just kind of follow the melody as long as it's appropriate for what you're doing. It makes sense, and it's good. You did a great job on the solo.
I think for What a Wonderful World, Alan did a really good job.
Mm-hmm.
But just if I don't know, if he wants to take it easier and he wants to do something with it, something different, he can really with that song, you can really stretch out the spaces between.
Yeah.
And it's like, you can milk it for as much as you can, buddy.
Fergie it.
Just go for it, right? It's and it sounds with slower songs that, or kind of ballad songs.
Yeah.
You can do that kind of cool stuff where it's I'm just gonna hold this note for a little while.
Have you seen that video Fergie singing the national anthem and she
was that
was
wasn't
like a basketball game or something? I forgot what kind of game it was. It was recently. It was this year.
Yeah, I thought I heard about it. I don't know if I've seen it.
It was wow. And someone what's even funnier, someone made a a transcript, somebody put it into musical notation, the notes that she's singing. It's pretty funny. But that's an example of overexpression. She did a little bit too much, with it. So, but good job. Overall good job. I noticed the things that you worked on, and they paid off. They paid off. It's good. Your attack on those strings, especially on What a Wonderful World, was really good. A song like What a Wonderful World gets a little bit difficult because it is a slow song and every note needs to be heard, like Kahai was saying. But I think you did well on that. The only one is Ulu Palakua, and that as far as being a little bit more expressive, that needs a little bit of work because it is a singing song and it is just a strumming tune. And a lot of people just think that if I just kind of strum it one way, it's fine, and it is. But if you want to get better ukulele player wise, time to kind of work on those little things like dynamics and expression and stuff. So, any other questions, Kahai?
In the chat, they're kind of joking about taking a drink before.
Take a swig. Liquid courage, they call it.
Yeah.
Liquid courage.
Yeah. I don't know what is your take on that, because I know there a lot of venues sometimes just have stuff there. And I know some venues are more stocked than others.
Yeah.
And he was doing Denver, which is pretty
okay.
But I mean, what is your take on
the thing with me? So this is my personal take on it. When I drink, it's either I have just a little bit for as a social drinker, I'll have maybe one and I'll carry it just to be hey everyone, because everyone's drinking and stuff. Either that or I'm drinking 15 bottles at an airport or something, and almost getting deported from Japan. And so it's one of those things that I don't really know. So before I play, I try not to drink, because if I'll drink, I won't even drink enough to feel anything on stage. So it's as if I never drank anything at all. But if I'm gonna drink to feel to feel more relaxed on stage, I feel like I'm gonna overdo it.
Yeah.
I feel like I'm gonna do too much. So and I am pretty sassy on stage, and I feel like my sass might get worse, if I'm a little bit drunk. So I try not to say inappropriate things on stage. So I try not to drink. So, but that's it's different for everybody. That's how it is for me. I feel I don't get belligerent or anything, but I do get talky. I'm one of those talky, talkative kind of drunks and stuff.
Yeah.
And I feel if you put a microphone in front of talkative Aldrine, it might,
not the best idea.
Not the best idea, and it's not it's not I'll start swearing or anything. I'll just start saying random things can you just play the song, please? Stop talking.
Yeah.
Just play the song. It's more like that. And I get too relaxed. There's such thing as being too relaxed on stage. I remember we played it was a party at Lidgate, and someone wanted to play music with us. One of the drunk uncles and stuff, whatever, let me play some Johnny Cash or whatever. And then he just started playing And then he was, he did good like on the first song. Do you remember that? It was
Oh yeah.
And then he just like kind of kept playing. He's like, oh, what about this song though? And this song, and then this one, and it's like, oh, give the guitar back to Aaron, please. It's like something like that. Like where he was fine and he did okay, but it's like, oh, maybe drunk uncle can put the guitar down for a sec. But for all you kids out there, drinking is bad. Don't do that.
Yeah.
But yeah,
we're talking about people of age.
Of age, yes, of course.
And even those people do it wrong.
Well, last week we were talking about Willie Nelson's guitar, right?
Yeah.
And the story about Willie Nelson's guitar is he got it after somebody stumbled into his old guitar and like completely just stepped on it like a drum.
Oh.
Yeah. And so he needed to get a new guitar. And I think he said that one was like kind of cheap. So he got it and he was like, oh, this one is like great though.
Yeah.
Like I love this guitar. So.
Was that the one? So that's how you got the hole in it? So somebody stepped on it?
No.
Or no.
That's a totally different guitar.
Oh, okay.
The one
it was before,
like what he needed
from strumming.
His picking or whatever.
Is it though?
That's what
allegedly. I'm still gonna raise an eyebrow that every time somebody says that. Like Willie Nelson just ripping so hard on that guitar.
Oh, what about food?
Food. I try not to eat. Okay, that does make a difference. I try not to eat 30-45 minutes before I get up on stage. It does make a difference in how much, especially if you're gonna sing, and how much air you have in your lungs. Like sometimes if you're too full, we can't expand, and how they say that it comes from the diaphragm and stuff. And if that diaphragm is full, you can only breathe so much, and you need a lot of air to sing. I don't do it even if I'm not singing. For instrumentals, I try not to eat either, because with instrumentals I can phrase better when I'm breathing with the with the song, as if I'm singing along. So if I'm doing something like while my guitar gently weeps, like you can play it and you can just keep playing without thinking about phrasing. But in my mind, I'm thinking, I look at you all, see the light, yeah, that's sleeping. There's like there's breathe marks where I kind of think about where would I breathe in that. And in a sense, like I give my fingers a little bit of a break so that it gives it that kind of human elements in the in that song, where like, okay, it's like there's where the breath mark should be. In music, we have that, like, looks like an apostrophe. It's called a breath mark. And in musical notation. So I think about those kind of things. And if I'm if I just ate, if my opu stomach is too full, I feel like I don't make the right breathing calls. I don't make the right call for when I'm breathing.
That breath mark is something that I didn't learn until like later when I was playing trumpet.
That's what it meant?
Yeah, and so the teacher was like, "Hi, why aren't you taking any breaths?" I was like, because there's no rest. Like, where am I supposed to take a breath? And she's like, no, it tells you right here. Take, like, these are breath marks. I'm like, oh. And she's like, yeah, that's why you're not playing it right. You don't have enough breath for like this next part. I'm like, oh yeah, okay. That makes sense.
And same thing with alcohol, like with food. I either eat too little or too much. And if I'm gonna go up on stage and I'm gonna eat too much, sometimes you have what we call here in Hawaii kanak attack, which is like you get sleepy after eating. So if I eat a big meal and I have to go up on stage like 30 minutes later, I just feel sluggish. Yeah. Even if I don't have to sing and stuff, I just
people call it a food coma.
Food coma.
Yeah.
Food coma. Kanak attack here in Hawaii, but food coma.
It's like the same thing like after Thanksgiving, right? People will say like after they eat so much turkey, they feel tired. But yeah, especially like after like a luau or something, right? Mm-hmm. Like you eat like all the greasy kind of food.
Right. Like, yeah, that's why like in green rooms and stuff, they're like, oh, here, have all this food. It's like I'm gonna take some maybe chips and some salsa. That's it, But then I end up eating too much anyway. It's like too much chips. Like chips, like just this much. Just have a little bit. No, a drinker has no control. So if I did, I'd look like Aaron Nakamura. I think we have the same body type, but mine's ballooned up and he hasn't.
It's a food allergy.
Yes, food. I'm allergic to food. I eat and I just, like I get swollen.
But I always like when we're traveling or we're doing something, and you're the one that's eating like a salad, and then Aaron's sitting next to you eating the Super Mario like ice cream sandwich. I think that was like the first time I went to Nam, and I was like cracking up at Aaron. Aaron was like, that was what you got, yeah? I think like the Super Mario ice cream sandwich.
Oh yeah, no. Just the Toll House cookie ice cream sandwich. Super Mario hasn't made an ice cream sandwich since the 90s, and I still dream about that. Yeah.
I think that's what she's like.
It was actually Nintendo. Nintendo made an ice cream sandwich.
Oh. Let's look for it in Japan.
No. It was
they discontinued it.
The company that made it, that manufactured it, was called Gold Bond Ice Cream. And they got acquired by Good Humor, or the Good Humor parent company or whatever it is, because Gold Bond owned Popsicle, the Popsicle brand, and they wanted Popsicle brand. So they just made popsicles and never made any of their other stuff. And so everybody who even remembers anything that Gold Bond made, it's sad that they don't make anything
So
else.
what was like the Super Mario so special about the Super Mario one?
It's just the cookie part was just like just the consistency of it was perfect. Like it wasn't crunchy or hard, and it wasn't like super soft. It was like a perfect in between.
As long as I've known you, you've always been a fan of like Nestle Toll House.
Yeah, and that's because that's the closest that I can get to that, but it's not even really that close.
When someone says ice cream sandwich, like I always think Fat Boy, basically. See, because I'm a fat boy, so I always think Fat Boys. Those, like those blocks of ice cream. I mean, you guys know what that is, and maybe the audience, like, for those of you folks who don't know what a Fat Boy is, it is a square ice cream sandwich, and it's what even is that like that they use? It's not a cookie. It's like a brownie consistent.
Yeah. So I feel like that is a little bit too soft for me.
What are you talking about? How are we friends there?
It was kind of in between that and the Toll House cookie. So it's like, I don't know.
And our good friend who's passed, Greg, he's a big fan of Fat Boys. So we came over his house one of the it's like the day after Christmas or something, or like a New Year's. And we had that little seminar with his brother, and like I gave him like a box of Fat Boys, and he was so happy. Those of you folks who don't remember Greg, one of the first, he's the reason why we went to the NAMM show. Actually, he's the guy who told about the show and got us signed up, and he
put us up in his house.
Yeah, he put us up in his house and stuff. So rest in peace, Greg. You are missed. How about you, Kahai? Where do you weigh in on this Fat Boy?
Wait. Actually, Greg was there when you first met Heather.
Yeah. So, yeah, if it wasn't for Greg, I would not have met my wife. Yeah. Very, very important. Important to the lore, to Ukulele Underground lore. Very important. He was our first employee at Ukulele Underground. Or was Mike before him?
No, I don't know.
Yeah.
I guess, yeah.
Yeah,
Mike.
Greg was our first employee at Ukulele Underground. And then came Mike, and then we lucked out Kahai, and Kahai has been stuck with us ever since. It's in his contract. He can't leave.
You guys asked me like for now, you guys are like, oh yeah, try and get like see if you can talk to the people and do stuff, and I think that's what Greg did, right? Like, and then like I tried, but I'm like terrible at it, so I didn't get anything. Like I'm so awkward, and then that's where it's just like next year it's like, oh, you want to do camera stuff? I was like, yeah, thanks. Because I'm much better than this.
What Greg would do is he would talk to the next booth, or like to whatever booth that we were gonna approach and we're gonna ask to do videos. Like he would talk to them like, hey, I'm with Ukulele Underground. Can we get you can we get you interviewed for our videos on our website? So that's kind of like his thing. And I would finish up whatever interview I was doing, then I would head over to where Greg kind of set up the next one. Either he did that or he set it up in advance. So he was the guy who talked to all the companies and all the heads of the companies. He had the people's names, he had what booth they were in, and I'm like, okay, Kahai, we don't have Greg anymore. You're gonna have to do Greg's job. And that's to talk to people and schedule these meetings and interviews. I
think most times I was doing like catch up where it's like you guys would run ahead and then afterwards I would get their business card or I would get their
B-roll.
So instead of like being ahead of you guys, I was like behind you guys. I was running behind you guys.
Yeah. So, before we move on from this ice cream topic, Fat Boy or Nestle Toll House?
I think
Which boss do you like better? Your parents? Yes. Where's your allegiance?
It depends. Does Fat Boy have that like Neapolitan one?
Yes.
Yeah. I don't know.
In that case,
or if they don't, you can stack 3 of them together. Because I know they make chocolate, vanilla, and strawberry.
Like, it's like a double stuffed Oreo. Like you have to make yourself.
Yeah, you know what I mean. The thing is called Fat Boy. Like I'm not hiding anything. it's out there for the world.
I think I probably ate more of that Neapolitan Fat Boy than the Nestle Toll House. Like that's like, isn't that like special? Like that's when you go to 7-Eleven and your mom lets you pick out ice cream.
You can have one thing.
Fat Boy is like what we had it like, or my uncle would have in his freezer. And be like,
that's why it's good. It's it reminds me of my uncle who gave me stuff from his freezer.
So, yeah.
Okay, moving on. Sorry for the ice cream talk, but I just. I'm really passionate about ice cream. My future endeavor is to create ice cream pretty soon. So look out for that. Drink Guerrero's ice cream. Next, do we have any questions?
Well, like, let me see. Or Alan like mentioned that he doesn't like drinking either because he feels like he doesn't perform as well.
Yeah, it does impair, like how you play and how you kind of think. For me, it's different for everyone, and for me, I feel like I have a late reaction to things, and I don't know. I can't concentrate. I feel like if I drink too much, it's like I'm dizzy. I'm too relaxed, like I get kind of dizzy. So that's why I like drinking a lot if I'm not doing anything. If I'm just kind of sitting there and enjoying,
company.
Enjoying company. It's fine. And if I'm a little bit late to things, that's expected because everyone else is, so it's great. But if I have to be kind of at the top of my game, I don't. So rest assured, whenever I'm on stage, I am not inebriated.
I think that's like the image of the blues musician, right? Who has like a bottle of whiskey next to them, and they're like a little bit, And
it works for some people. You know what? I'm not going to deny the fact that it works for some people.
But you saying like your reaction is delayed. Like I kind of feel like that also like adds to the feeling of like, I guess,
blues,
or like just that kind of music where it feels like each note is like kind of like and then it doesn't like land on one exactly.
I know people that that don't go up on stage unless they have like a shot or two. Like I'm not gonna mention names and stuff, but I've known professional like national level like musicians that like if they don't take a few shots first before going on stage, they won't go. So it's I don't know, it's different. And for myself, I can't do it. My response is too slow. I feel kind of dizzy, and our show is very
kind of high energy.
Yeah, kind of high energy, exactly. So if I'm drunk, like I just feel junk on stage. If I'm drunk, and I'm not saying that being drunk is like a bad feeling. It's great if you're just kind of sitting there enjoying company. But if I'm like playing body surfing or something, like I don't want to be sweating out alcohol.
Alan also said like I never thought about it that way, but I think I do that too. And you're talking about like taking the pauses for that breath mark.
Yeah. So like breathe with it. You don't even have to sing it like in your head. You just kind of breathe, and where you would breathe, that's kind of where you would take breaks in the in the song. Stuff like let's see. So there's that breath. It's like one phrase and then the breath. That's kind of that's kind of how it works. And the phrasing, it's better because if you don't breathe there and you just kind of go through it, and it sounds a little bit too mechanical.
Yeah, I think even like like Jake said.
Oh, he's pressing the button on himself.
We actually did mention him earlier, though. Yeah.
We did, yeah, didn't we? Yeah, we did. Yeah.
He like but he for his songs he says like he thinks of like a singer, right? Like for his instrumental songs.
Yeah.
Like that's kind of what it's supposed to be like imitating almost. And I think like having that in your head, like even if it's an instrumental song, like and it doesn't have lyrics, thinking about like, oh, how would I sing it or how would somebody sing it?
Yeah.
It makes it sound because like that's what all instruments are doing is trying to like recreate that human voice. So definitely like thinking about that and trying to recreate it, it makes it sound more human instead of like just playing notes.
Yeah, yeah. Because there's definitely a mechanical, aspect to just playing the notes perfect. I mean, if you practice enough that you can play everything like, to the metronome, everything is exactly perfect. That's not good either. Yeah, you need to have a human element to it, and that's like what what breathing is about. It's just like you gotta take a breath. Your instrument can like just keep going, so you have to kind of force your breath with the instrument. Like you have to breathe with it, so that's if it's a living thing, and if you treat it as if it's a living thing, it's gonna give you emotions back. Yeah,
I think sometimes you hear somebody play and it sounds like they're just like reading sheet music.
Yeah.
Or they're being very like sterile.
Yeah.
Right? And there's like a time and place for it, I guess. Like there is like times where you do want to be kind of more precise, but like I think as a musician you kind of do want to bring that your own like breath into whatever music you're playing.
Yeah, especially, if you're gonna play something like "What a Wonderful World," it's like it's very, very expressive. So you want to be, you want to be there as far as the expression goes.
Like Louis Armstrong.
Yeah. Asses.
Yeah.
Tabs of blue. And roses too. That's my throat.
That's what he sounds like.
Does Victoria Vox do that song? Does she do the mouth trumpet for that song?
I don't know.
That'd be great if you're like playing that song and everybody thinks you're gonna just like sing all the way through and you stop and you do the mouth the solo trumpet.
I think she used to sing Somewhere Over the Rainbow and stuff. I remember there was a clip of her like on an airplane singing Somewhere Over the Rainbow like for the whole plane. But I think as time kind of went on, she did a lot more like original music, and I think she only does original music now. So I don't know, but I haven't seen Victoria in years.
Yeah.
So, no, that's a lie. I saw her last year at NAMM. Yeah, but before that, I didn't see her perform. So I guess I should say I haven't seen her perform in a long time. But we have run into her
here and there.
Yeah, here and there.
Tim said, speaking of drinking, doing the intro to Margaritaville, no problem playing it, but can't get in any volume. Any tips?
Yeah. Okay, so the tips to kind of doing that is to make sure that you know how to control which notes that you're playing. So because the riff kind of starts here, or you can start here. So if you're playing it here, what I'm doing is I'm taking my thumb and placing it on the C, and it's kind of like, really hitting down. The trick is to have your pointer finger muting the A string, so that you don't have to kind of do this, or you don't get volume, but you get accuracy of getting those two. So I can kind of just like strum down as much as I want, and you can't hear this. So when I reach here, I'm hitting the E string down, and I can hit it as hard as I can. So I can hit it hard here on the C, E, but because I'm muting the A, I'm getting good volume on there. Yeah. So it's all about, how, like, if you're hitting it down. Some people, like I said, to get accuracy, they kind of do this, and you don't get as much volume, especially with the two middle strings, because we're not used to like doing this kind of motion. We're used to doing this, like down, up, right, when we strum. So if you just do that same thing, you can strum down or stroke down as hard as you can, and you won't hear that A string if you mute. So I can dig into it, and it's totally fine.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So it's really just making kind of a clicking sound. But
Yeah.
It doesn't matter because you're hitting the other strings at the same time.
So there you go. Next up, Margarita. That's funny you should mention that. We're actually learning that for Songs Made Easy today. But I think we're in C. Forget.
So Devin said that I pinch the two strings, and you seem to discourage pinching the strings. Is that a
strings? Oh, like doing this?
Yeah.
Yeah, exactly. Because when you do it that way, when you pinch, you're doing this, and you're running your two fingers like next to each other, so there's not a lot of movement. So when you pinch, you get this much movement, like from here to there, from here to there. But when you strum down, it's from here to here. See like how much movement that is? So you get bigger volume. Plus you have a thicker nail to do that, so on and so forth. So, and I'm trying to do it as loud as I can. Versus, you really get more volume with this downstroke.
Well, if you don't want volume, that's a alternative then.
Yeah. If you want to keep it quiet, then use the use this. Your flesh on your thumb and your flesh on your pointer finger. Because if you use the nail on your thumb and the flesh of your pointer finger, then you hear that C more than that E, and it's not quite a balanced note. Yeah.
That's kind of like the same thing with the difference between rest strokes and free strokes.
Free strokes,
right?
yes.
Like rest strokes, you get like kind of that, or because you're hitting the next string, you can like kind of make it like have a bigger motion. Yeah. Whereas free strokes, you're trying to I don't know, stop it
out.
Something.
Yeah. So hopefully that helps. Next.
That takes some kind of coordination though to be able to mute that.
Yeah, I just kind of do a because we learn as far as the harmony goes is like that no gap 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 no gap no gap gap. We learned that in university, and when you do it on the C and E string, you can do kind of like a B flat chord shape. Okay. So,
but you're not holding down the
but I'm not
A-string
holding
at
down
all.
this pointer finger there. It's just that pointer finger is there, kind of like that B flat chord shape,
but just touching it, not
just touching the A string.
That's what I have a hard time doing is like holding down something, but also kind of like touching.
I see.
I always have problems, like having a different pressure, from one string to the next.
Yeah,
so.
That's all practice, I think.
I
mean, I can show you how to do it, but
you gotta kind of
practice it on your own to make sure that you get the feel, because it's about feel. Because you're playing those notes, but you're just kind of touching the so that pointer finger is doing two jobs: is to play that note and to mute that A string. So it takes a little bit of practice to kind of get that down. Yeah. Also, nails help. If you don't have any nails and you're kind of doing this too, it's not going to give you any more volume. Yeah.
Or you volume and like your attack won't be as like...
won't be as sharp.
Yeah. Well, I was thinking about that, and like muting, it kind of sounds funny, but muting is actually like a good way for other things too, to add more volume to your playing. Like another technique that kind of uses the same thing is like parallel octaves,
octaves.
Like if you do parallel octaves, you can strum instead of just picking those two strings, which should be louder.
Yeah. And it sounds counterproductive because the word is mute. You're muting it, but you're actually making other things louder because you're muting one thing.
It's like you don't have to worry about playing wrong notes or playing something wrong. So.
Can you show parallel octaves for people who don't know?
Yeah. Where you're playing the octaves of two notes, so this D and then this D. So and then you're muting the G and the E string.
That's like that's a technique that people, when they're trying to learn it, I think first some people like get confused and they go like, but how do you play it? Like, how do you transition so fast? Like if you're just trying to hit those two strings, right?
Yeah.
but like what you're doing with your right hand is like you're just strumming.
Yeah, I'm just strumming.
And then all your focus can really go into your left hand and moving it the right amount or moving it into the right position.
But I just want those two notes.
Yeah, I would say like that's like one of my first forays into like soloing.
Yeah,
was like guitar soloing.
Octaves.
And they use that for like punk music, right?
Yeah,
and it's like, oh, it sounds so cool, but you're playing something super easy.
Power chords.
Yeah,
doesn't matter if it's major or minor. It's both.
Yeah. I remember like showing my friend, and my friend's like, "Oh, that's so cool." And then once I taught him how to do it, he's like, "Oh, that's not as cool." He's like, "Oh, that's all you're doing?" It's like, yeah.
Yeah. Okay, next up.
So Devin earlier mentioned that the preciseness for me comes from needing to learn the song, and I lack confidence in my musicianship to go outside the song.
Well, that's same thing in practice when you when you're playing the song, and you can step outside of outside of the box for a little bit, and it doesn't really matter because it's practice, and in practice you'll learn that, okay, maybe that didn't sound as good as I wanted, or okay, maybe that sounds good, or maybe that sounds okay, I can make it better, and those are the times you kind of fix it. Then you do it on stage, like how Alan did it. So if you're scared to kind of go outside the box, do it during practice when anything is anything is acceptable, because it's just you, right? So don't worry about messing up or playing the wrong notes or doing something too much or too little. It's all about honing in on what sounds good and what sounds bad, and that's what practice is for. So
yeah, I think it also depends on like what is your final goal for the song. Mm-hmm. Do you want it to sound exactly like whoever wrote it or whoever,
or you want to
made the arrangement?
It's true.
Or do you want to make it like your own? And I kind of feel like if you want to make it your own, you have more leeway. You're gonna make it however you play it, so it's fun. Yeah.
Next up.
Let me see.
You're relatively new to to playing on stage, right, Kahai?
No, I played on stage in middle school, for band and stuff. But
I mean, like with your guitar and stuff.
Yeah. I haven't really.
Do you have any advice to people? Because when people ask us for advice, like, well, Aldrine's been doing it for whatever years and this and this and that, but you are a person who has not done it for years. What kind of advice would you give to people on going up on stage for the first time and facing that fear?
I actually thought about this, and Alan said about his recorded performance. He said that I do feel like I'm slowly getting more comfortable. I just need to find a way to concentrate without scrunching up my face. I did feel better about the second song after I warmed up with the first one, and I don't really do this with music because the only time I perform is really when somebody goes like, "Oh, Kai, like pick up the guitar and play."
Yeah,
and I'm like, "Okay, yeah, sure." I don't really perform where it's like I'm gonna have a set list or I'm planning on playing, right. So it's like out of the place, but it always comes back with magic with me.
Here we go.
But like I think a good advice is like with magic, I heard is do a trick that up and down. You can perform like asleep. You can perform super easy, and do that first, right? Like because like
get comfortable.
Yeah, if you're super comfortable with that, you'll be less nervous, at least hopefully. And then hopefully you'll do it right too, where it's like, oh, okay, I did that first one. That first one I got down, like, and then you can kind of go into like the next one where it's like, oh yeah, I can do this one and this one. So there is like when I would do magic, I did have a trick where it's like it was like a trick that I knew really well, and I could do like if somebody asked me to do it, as long as I had cards. If somebody asked me to do something, that was like my go-to. So it might be good to think about like what songs do you really like, or what songs are you super comfortable with performing, and then
that's true. Yeah, I mean, even though we've been playing for for years, and that's still the same advice that I would give somebody. If we're talking about getting comfortable, there is a reason why we play Lay Down Sally first, or or we play How Can I Get Over first, or what we used to play before, like Let's Get It On. Like those songs first, is because that's like not really a throwaway song. It's still a good song, but for the most part, it helps me get comfortable into the
playing mood.
Yeah. So that's great advice. That's like I said, we've been playing for years and we still do that.
In fact, there were a couple times where we did a festival and you had laid out like a set list. Yeah. And then moments before going on stage, you were like, "No, let's just do whatever we usually do for the first song at least." Yeah.
Because I'm like, okay, this goes into this goes into this goes into that. But I'm like, I don't know about playing that first though.
It's like a hard hitting song. Yeah, should we play that first?
Yeah,
like, we should really wow the audience the first thing out, and then just before we go on stage. No.
I'm too scared. I'm too scared, and I'm scared. I really am scared. Because I wasn't like, I came from like a backyard jam like background. Like I wasn't like in recitals or anything like that. I wasn't like, okay, I have to go in prim and proper, do my thing. Like I came from like my teacher, like my social studies teacher was like, hey, I attend Monday night Kani Kapila every time. I want to feature you guys. Like, okay, we'll just play for a bunch of like older people, like what we usually play at Hawaii Music Club. That's like kind of where I came from. It wasn't like, so I still get scared. I'm not mentally prepared for those kind of high pressure, stuff. And I think playing that first two songs, helps me get kind of comfortable. It helps me get into that mood where like, okay, I'm just playing music like how I did in the backyard, like it becomes that. It kind of helps me get over the fact that I'm up on stage on some kind of like event or whatever, even if it's like on a bar or something, it's still not in my comfort zone where I just like played like in the cafeteria in high school, or like in my social studies teacher's room, or anything, or outside the band room. That's where I'm most comfortable. If I'm gonna play a hard hitting song, you told me to play it outside the band room, guaranteed we can do it, but not on stage. So
the stage just
it's intimidating.
Yeah. And I think for most people it's like that. There's like a few people who are like, oh yeah, I'm totally relaxed on stage and I can perform and whatever. But I think for most people, there's always like a little bit of nerves or a little bit of like that, like butterfly in the stomachs kind of thing. Yeah.
So just know, like I've been playing for a couple of decades, like on stage and stuff, and I still get butterflies, and I'm still like, maybe this. I still second guess myself. I still rush, whenever we do performances. I still rush the beats. I still do all that stuff. Still make mistakes. I'm human, and like I mentioned, I came from that kind of background where like I wasn't like bred to be on stage or anything. That was just something that I stumbled upon, and I happened to just be on that stage. But once I start to have fun, then it feels like or the audience kind of starts to feel the confidence growing. And the more confidence that I have, the better the show gets. So the show kind of gets this like, this slight rise, and then it gets to the top, and then we play like our best song last, and then we go home. Best song last, Sweet Caroline. We do. We play that last.
I forget who said it, but there's somebody who said that if you don't feel nervous before you're performing or before you're doing something, that probably means that you've like lost interest in it, and it just means that you're like,
maybe you're just not as excited to do it, or it doesn't mean anything.
Not
anymore.
Really into it anymore. Yeah. So I don't know. Well, that's just saying like if you feel nervous or you kind of have that butterflies, it's a good thing.
It's crazy, and playing at festivals, like the level of musicianship, like in festivals and stuff. When we did the Ukulele Festival of Great Britain, we were right after Remco, and someone was playing with Remco. Who was playing with Remco? But Remco is Ukulele Zaza for all you folks who have who know like European ukulele players. But he's amazing. He's got that European like ukulele style down. I'm like, man, these are really good. And his style matches this audience and the audience loves him, like, and then we're gonna go out, we're gonna do our thing. Like, what if people don't like us, Aaron? You know, I got super nervous and I'm like, oh, just breathe. It's gonna be fine. People came out, people want to see you, you know? So all the things that I'm telling you guys, I tell that to myself before I go up on stage. It's like, people want to see you. People are gonna be happy, people are gonna have a good time. So let's just go.
Yeah.
Whew. And I'll tell you this much. I use the bathroom like 10 times before we go up on stage.
Yeah.
Like Aaron will tell you that. Like, Drew, you going? I gotta use the bathroom one more time. Don't ask questions. Yeah, drink water. It's like either drink water. It's like, did I bring enough water? I drank. Oh, I brought 2 bottles, right? I drank one. Now I gotta pee because like I drank this whole bottle, and I just get nervous. I don't know. It's a nervous thing. I to this day I still get nervous.
Yeah, but I think Jim said first song settles you, but also gives you a good feel for what the room and audience will be like. So it should be cool, easy, and fun. And it's like
it is. You can get a grasp of what people will react to. You know, if so, just do more of that and do less of the things that they don't react to, or maybe do for me, I just do more of the things they don't react to and force them to react to it.
I think as long as you're prepared, like you know the songs that you're gonna play.
Yeah.
That first song is always the hardest, like just getting up there and getting that started, and then once that's done, then it's like, okay, yeah, I can do this. Yeah. I can play whatever.
Either that or it takes another song. It's like, okay, that didn't go too bad. Maybe one more. Yeah.
And you just get keep pushing.
Yeah. Just have fun. I mean, once the nerves go away and you start to have fun, that's like when the real show starts, I feel, you know? Yeah. But if it's kind of tough when you're like at an open mic and you get 2 songs, you only get 2 songs.
Yeah, that's what Alan was saying.
So it is tough. But when Kahai was saying like, oh, I got to start with a trick that I know, like I know how to play, with my eyes closed. And that's just, in practice, if you only get 2 songs, one of those songs has to be a song that that you can play like while you sleep or whatever it is that you said. But practice the 2 songs. If there's 2 songs that you want to perform, practice one of them that that you can play that one in your sleep, and then the other one will just come after. So.
I think even our jams, right? Our Low Friday jams.
Yeah.
We do Drop Baby Drop.
Drop Baby Drop.
Or like Tropical Hawaiian Day, all these these songs where it's, and I don't think you guys need to be like, oh, so nervous to play.
I still am. I mean, honestly, I am, and I just kind of laugh it off sometimes, but I mess up a lot, and it is Friday live jam, so
you're live.
Yeah, we are live, and sometimes I think 2-3 weeks ago during the Songs Made Easy, what song was that? I couldn't find the note. I'll Come and Get Your Love. Yeah. And I'm like, oh my god. I'm like breaking down. You can see it in my face. And like, oh my god, what is that note?
This is gonna be on the internet forever.
And I just gotta stay calm. Gotta stay calm.
Yeah. But I mean, the more times that you encounter things like that, the more that you're kind of prepared for the next time that it kind of unexpectedly happens.
So I mean, I guess that's happened enough that I kept my composure during that time. I'm like, okay, so we couldn't find the note that time, so we'll try it again.
Just we'll bring it back around.
Let's bring it back around. Let's try it again. No, that was Aldrine's fault. It's my bad.
And I mean, if you're talking about open mics, that's kind of expected at open mic, so I kind of consider them practice. It's not really a performance. It's kind of like people expect you to not be perfect. So.
Right.
Well, I think people don't know what's gonna happen, and then they're just there because they're just there to have fun, or they're just there to experience whatever is gonna be up on stage. So they're excited for whatever.
And to always usually open mics are like that where you kind of cheer on. I mean, I haven't been to one that wasn't, but
supportive.
I'm sure there are some out there, but
it's not like people go to an open mic and expecting world class musicians.
That's why.
That's not the venue you go to. So
I know for our open mics, I've seen a couple, and it's always funny that people come in and they're like, oh, I'm not really sure. I'm not that great, but I'm gonna try and play, guys. And they play, and it's like, you did a really good job.
Yeah.
Like, I don't know where that nervousness comes from, but yeah, I guess that's just everybody. Everybody feels nervous.
Yeah. And everyone's different, but you know, for the most part, you're gonna know that the more you relax, the better you'll play.
Okay.
Yeah.
John says, I'm working on the rhythm strum for Bob's Burgers.
Mm-hmm.
I can hear the song in my head. I can play the rhythm if I pause between the downbeats.
Mm-hmm.
But if I try to keep my hand moving up and down as you demo in the whiteboard request, there's no way I can do that. Is there any practice tips? Should I go slow with the metronome?
If you can hear it in your head and just try to sing it, you know, in your head. If you want to practice metronome, put the metronome on. Don't play your ukulele and just sing it in your head with the metronome. So if the metronome is going, so if you sing it in your head, even without the metronome, like if you just kind of sing it in your head, you know how it goes. Just try to translate it over to your ukulele. Like that's honestly the best way to do it. When when I was starting out and like when I was playing in high school and stuff, I was trying to copy whatever I heard. I didn't have metronomes to be like, okay, now I gotta make sure it's it's perfect. It's this kind of beat and stuff. What we showed on whiteboard request, as long as you kind of keep your your hand going up, because that what that does is it covers all the beats, right? Down up, down up, down up, down up. Instead of 1 and 2 and 3 and 4 and 1 and 2 and 3 and 4 and. So that means one of these notes is gonna be right. So what you do is just play the notes that are in your head. So if I'm thinking bop 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 ba da, so. So it goes with it. If you just sing it in your head, then put into your hand like what you're hearing, you should be correct, because in your mind you know what it's supposed to sound like. So try to translate that over to your ukulele. This right here is just to make sure that you're on beat.
So you're just kind of like accenting certain
Yeah.
strums, and it could be a down, it could be an up, but it just has to come at that time.
Yeah. So it's just an accent down, then an accent up, then an accent down, then an accent up. It just for that particular song. So bop 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 bop. So down up 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 down up. So it is tricky because it's like it's a lot of that upbeat. It's like unusual.
So like instead of like trying to do the left and the right hand, try to break it down.
Break
right
it down,
hand.
yeah.
Yeah, just kind of
so
focus
just right
on
hand
one.
first. So put your left hand over and just do. Just see if you can accent this the notes on your right hand. But just kind of keep it going. Yeah, it's a tricky song. The rhythm is pretty amazing. Ron Bouchard. Shout out. That's my close personal friend on Twitter. He follows me on Twitter.
Well, it's one of those songs where it's kind of hard if you try to take it note by note, or if you try to take it
note
like
by note,
strum by strum.
Yeah.
Like you really gotta think about like just the song overall, and just think about the dun 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 dun. Like and John said he has it in his head, so
that's where I was kind of playing off of, because he said he knows it in his head, so he's gotta have to do what's here with this, right?
He also asked like if he should use a metronome and kind of try and slow
the metronome might confuse you. Okay, that's why I use metronomes if it's like a steady beat. So say I'm doing like a strumming pattern, that's when I'll use the metronome. Or if I'm working on a melody line and stuff, like if I'm doing or something like that, then I want the separation, the notes to always be kind of perfect, or at least close to being perfect. And that's when I use metronomes. But for something like that where it's all feel, it's gonna be a little bit difficult to use a metronome because you might just confuse yourself, especially when there's an up. There's a lot of accent on the up strum because you won't hear the up in the metronome. It's just gonna tuck, 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 tuck. Yeah. So even then, I'm like kind of snapping the upbeats. So you could really confuse yourself with with the metronome. So I wouldn't suggest the metronome for that one. You can if you want to, but to avoid confusion, I wouldn't.
Yeah, especially if you're used to accenting downbeats.
Yeah,
right?
yeah.
Then that's where it's like, because you're accenting the upbeat, even if it's right, you might think like, oh, I'm not matching up with the metronome, so I'm gonna try and that is like tricky.
Okay, we have one more question. One last question.
I just wanted to say that we have a kind of a master class with Bruce Shimabukuro, and if you kind of want to take this whole concept and kind of scale it back for like a simpler version, but like the same idea, like Bruce does explains it very well.
Okay.
Where you're just doing down up, down up, down up, down up, down up, and you're just accenting certain ones and just like kind of feeling how to feel that out. So he does a really good job like explaining that. So I'll put a link in the chat too.
Like, he was a great teacher. I think he was the one that I first heard the whole point down to the ground and point to yourself thing. I was visiting him. He used to do lessons in like an ukulele store in Waikiki, and I'm like, that is a great way of explaining how to strum. That's Bruce's.
Yeah, Alan said, isn't Bruce related to someone else we know? Who was it? That's pretty good.
Oh, that's a bit. Press that button.
Oh.
Oh, we didn't say. No one said the word. No one said it.
We have the B brother, the J brother.
Bruce. Fun fact: Jody Kamisato, who we've mentioned in this in this show, he used to play bass for Bruce Shimabukuro and the BS band.
BS band.
So, me and Ryan opened up for the BS band, and I'm like, oh my god, it's Jake's brother, and I didn't know. I didn't know Bruce then. I've never met him at that time, and I just remember going like, why would he call themselves the BS band? What? Oh, Bruce Shimabukuro, but still,
still, why would you choose that?
Yeah, why would you choose that name? It's like, and that's when I first met Jody, and Jody has always been kind of like Mr. Aloha, like Uncle Aloha and stuff. And he's like, oh, hey, like, great job up there. And I'm like, what are you talking? He's awesome. I love the BS band. And I think knowing Bruce, I'm sure it was intentional.
Yeah.
Knowing Bruce, the kind of person he is, I'm sure that's intentional. The BS band.
He, like, it wouldn't be like something where it's like people go up to him and like snicker like, oh, BS band, and then he's like, guys, come on, I'm trying to.
It's my initials.
Serious. He'd probably like be laughing too. Like, yeah, I know. Yeah,
is it a great? Yeah. See, I didn't know him that well, but like maybe I should ask him now. I've never asked him about that. And Bruce like, was that intentional? The BS band?
Obviously.
It's like, Aldrine, come on.
It'd be great if he was like, oh,
like years later, he's like, oh no, I printed thousands of CDs.
That's why all those people were laughing. Oh no.
Yeah. Oh, well. So that about does it for Thursday Live Lesson. I hope you guys enjoyed it. If you guys want to download this, check it out on iTunes under Thursday Live Lessons, or look for the Ukulele on the Ground podcast. If you want to watch the replay, or if you're listening to this and you want to watch this, we did showcase a lot of stuff on video, like parallel octaves and and accents and stuff. So if you want to watch this, sign up for UU Plus over on ukuleleunderground.com. UU Plus to take your ukulele playing to the next level. Stay tuned for Songs Made Easy, and right after that we have one-on-one coaching where we take the concept of private lessons and we make it available for all of you UU Plus subscribers. Okay, so have a great one. Enjoy the rest of the day. Aloha.